What's up, everyone? It's Richard here with the Men of the House podcast, coming at you on January 25th, a Thursday morning, up early, recording this episode so we can drop it like it's hot. But anyway, I told you guys 2 weeks ago to come back last week for some very exciting news. But last week was a little bit of a snafu. If you don't know what that means, go Google it. But we're here to tell you this week. I told you you'd want to come back for some exciting news, and here it is. So, as of a couple of weeks ago, but officially last night, the Men of the House podcast is now part of the Podcast Connection Network. And this network has 3 other podcasters in it. We have Hunter Allen with Everything is Connected, Amber McCrae with Connection Over Perfection, and Heather Harrington with Hot Mess Espresso. So, you're kind of in luck because we recorded our first collaborative group episode last night. It was a lot of fun. Haven't had that much fun in a while, or let's say been that connected to other people in a while, which is kind of sad in a way, but the world is definitely in a different place, and how we connect and how we meet people is definitely different. And especially when you get to my age, or you've had my career, and you're no longer going to bars, you're no longer going here or there, seems the best way to actually meet people sometimes is on TikTok. And that's how I met these 3 folks, was through TikTok. So I'm going to stop calling it the TikTok time suck, because I actually think it provides value. And it's taken me a little time to figure that out. But once you're able to scroll past all the people putting on their makeup, then, then maybe you might just find some little nuggets of gold in there. Some people you can actually connect with. And, I've given this some thought, and that it's kind of like when I spend time on TikTok, I'm more so looking for the people that I've made connections with to kind of check in, I guess. It's almost like if you were out visiting friends or something. So that's kind of how I use TikTok. I enjoy it. I enjoy the people I've met thoroughly. And it's one of those things of, hey, this is the way the world is now. So, you can adapt and overcome and try to use it to your advantage. Or you can deny it and, fade away, I guess you could say. But let's go back to why you're in luck. You're in luck because now you have from today until next Wednesday to go binge the episodes of the podcast that are part of the Podcast Connection Network. All 3 podcasters, we're all in a similar space. We all have kind of similar messages, but it's also I would look at it as, hey, this is 4 different ways of maybe looking at things. These are 4 different people with 4 different experiences, but we've all found ourselves kind of in the same place together, trying to make a difference, trying to reach people, trying to make the world a better place. But, some are 18 to 30 minutes long. Some of the episodes are an hour or more long, kind of like the ones in my podcast. But I assure you, you'll have no problems going and binging if you so desire, because there's a lot of great information, a lot of good prompts to get you to think. Think about your own life. Think about who you are, why you are the way you are, and how, possibly you too can make the world a better place, how you can contribute. There's a lot of great information out there. So I highly recommend go give them all a listen. Follow the shows on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get it, or all three, if you have all three. Like, comment, review, and as Hunter would say, share it with 5 people. If you find value in the information, share it. That's the way we can grow it and get it to more people. But you're going to want to do that because our collaborative episodes drop starting Wednesday, January 31st. And that's going to be Hot Mess Espresso. You're going to find that episode. The second part is going to be February 1st on my podcast. The third part is going to be Amber on Connection Over Perfection. And then the fourth part of the episode will drop on February 4th with Hunter. And everything is connected. And they've also got they've got a similar style 3-part series about the Podcast Connection Network, introducing all 3 of the members, and they're in an order on all 3 different podcasts. Get you to jump over to each one, but I highly recommend you go and listen to those and try to listen to them in order if you can. And if you want to, you could start there as opposed to the beginning and get you a little bit of a sampling, a little flavor of each show and what they're about and how they integrate, but I highly recommend it. All right. So on from that, let's move on to our daily reflection. January 25th, life comes in cycles. Cycles are portals through which we step into the future. They cannot be stopped as they turn through time, taking us with them, only appreciated for the value they bring into our lives. We cannot appreciate ease without a measure of difficulty, nor do we truly understand our luck until it runs out occasionally. As the wheel of the year turns, it takes us through the natural rhythm of the seasons and allows us to depend on what comes next. Yeah, so we'll tie that in. I was originally going to do one thing of a podcast, I so thought, but I can always save that for another time. And, this morning I woke up, as, I kind of have a little routine of I'm up early, and if I can be on by 6, I try to go onto TikTok or YouTube and listen to Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley. It's a podcast. It's like a morning coffee one. 15 to 30 minutes, usually some good information, but I try to go over there, listen to what's going on, be supportive of other people who kind of share the same goals and dreams, and also somebody who's got more experience. You never know what you're going to pick up, but I try to go over there, give that a listen first thing in the morning, and then I'll kind of scroll through, and I probably mentioned it last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, but came across Josh with Real Talk, and I think that's ReellTalkk, something like that. But anywho, the point is he was kind of having a hard time this morning, so our thoughts and prayers go out to him, and a little bit of a struggle, but maybe a struggle of joy in a way. He said he had some bad dreams and woke up, and I guess it just wasn't great. And then you start questioning, why am I here? Why did the universe spare me all these mistakes I've made, shown me grace, especially when we're so undeserving of it sometimes. And he was just having a hard time. But it was nice to kind of be able to be there live in real time, give a word of support or encouragement, and kind of that's what it's all about. And like I was saying earlier, the way we connect to each other is just so different. And, we're talking about somebody in Iowa, but there's now a platform to where you could have people from everywhere outside of Iowa giving you those words of encouragement or listening or, kind of whatever it is, being that safe place, those safe people for somebody to vent to when they're having a hard time without judgment. And so, I think it's pretty cool that that's able to happen. And, again, like I said, I don't think he's quite my age, but, when you're older, you have a wife and kids and all these other responsibilities, you spend a lot of time in kind of your own little bubble in your own little world, unless you have that outlet to other people. And, for some people, like in my group, my age group, you're not going out. Maybe you're sitting at home on a Friday night on TikTok, hanging out and alive with other people who are similar. But, it's funny because, whether it's Friday or Saturday night, we're all here. We're all here at the same place. I suppose we could all be at bars drinking or running the streets, getting in trouble, making poor decisions. But we're all there kind of hanging out in a similar space. So it is what it is. But, kind of the whole point of all this is, I get it. I understand. And I can't tell Josh's story for him. I recommend you go check him out on TikTok, and you'll know his story. But I can relate in that, he's a driver. I'm a driver. I drive for a living. And you get a lot of time to think. And sometimes I myself will think back and wonder, why has God, the universe, been so kind or spared me? By all accounts, I should probably be dead or in prison At least 10 times. But for whatever reason, I'm not. I've never been to jail, never been arrested, no felonies, nothing on my record that would keep me from obtaining gainful employment. Yes, I've made some mistakes that I can't take back, but, I think these thoughts, they come up the hardest times, and they can take your breath away when you sit there and go, I can't believe I did that. Man, I was a horrible fucking person. What the fuck was I thinking? Yes, I did that shit. It was wrong. I treated a person bad. I said things I didn't mean. Did things I didn't want to do, maybe against better judgment, out of anger. But, you can't live in the past. You got to move forward. Now, I think there's a benefit. Partially, it just depends on how you look at things and how you use it, how you react to it. I think it's partially important to remember the past, to have those feelings, to sit with them for only a moment. But also to remember, hey, some bad decisions in the past don't define me. I am not that person I once was. I'm not going to be defined as that person or by those things that I did. Yes, some were shitty, really shitty. But, when I find myself in that moment, I just say, God, please forgive me. That's not me. You know where my true heart and intentions lie, what it is I'm out here trying to accomplish, what words I'm trying to spread, what message. Trying to hand out a bit of love, peace, understanding, compassion to people and places that I may never meet or see. But, this is what I feel compelled to do for whatever reason. This is what's been put on me. These are my own personal lessons that I've learned and want to share. Maybe they'll help somebody. Maybe they'll offer a new perspective. But it's, when I think about, man, I just have to be thankful, grateful that I'm not dead, in jail, in prison, on probation, don't have a buttload of restitution or something I would have to pay for those choices I've made. For whatever reason, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, spared me a ton of tragic catastrophe. And yeah, that's something to be thankful for. And to be able to look back at the person you were to the person you are, Sometimes that's why we have to go to those places, to realize, hey, I'm not that person. I'm not going to be defined by some of the dumb shit I did, some of the stupid things I said, some of the people I hurt. And you just, you try to reverse that. You try to be a helpful person when you can, be a kind person when you can. Give people encouragement, love, be uplifting to them, versus maybe old patterns of pissing and moaning all the time, cutting people down, just to make yourself feel better. But, I just think to myself, hey, the universe or God was not done with me, or I haven't completed whatever it is that God has sent me here to do. And it's not for me to understand all the reasonings, all the madness, the methods behind why things happen the way they happen. It's really just more about having faith that, God will see me through this, and if I'm going in the right direction, things will line up. And you'll see the results, however that comes. Hunter's got a great episode on kind of manifesting, and we'll go with a little story before we end this. There was a point where if you go back and listen to the episodes, you can hear definitely the struggle. And I know I've mentioned before that, hey, is this the right thing to do? Is this what's meant for me? I had a lot of struggles. I'm like, man, I don't even know that this is doing any good. It's embarrassing sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't even know what the hell I said. Does it make sense? Am I just venting? Is anybody getting anything out of this? Maybe podcasting's a dumb idea. And maybe I should just give in to my worst fears and nightmares and go back to corporate America and just focus on being a good father, good husband, whatever, but kind of, going, what does it matter if I love what I do? What does it matter if I'm happy? And I asked the universe, I prayed a lot, and it's like, hey, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? And the next day, I had a little message from Hunter saying that he had listened to the podcast, he kind of enjoyed the message, and, would I be interested in talking? And, we had some correspondence back and forth. And talked about joining the Podcast Connection Network. And fast forward to yesterday, we were recording a collaborative episode all together. But, my point is, that was my answer. I'd been looking, focusing, trying to shift my mindset, weed out negative thoughts, trying to manifest more of what I want, seeing myself in that place, feeling myself in that position, familiar sounds, familiar qualities. And one day you wake up and your inbox has a message that you never expected. Your job is to keep the negativity out and keep the positivity in. You don't always get to decide how the opportunity comes. But it shouldn't matter as long as the opportunity comes. But you have to be open. You can't be so rigid. You kind of got to put it out there and let go a little bit. And kind of watch it happen. But that's kind of how it happened for me. And then when I went to the show 2 Fridays ago, if you go back and listen to the last episode, I think I said in there a couple of times that I was where I needed to be when I needed to be there. And if you start stacking some of these small wins, the feeling, the people, the vibe, the like attracting like, feeling a sense of peace. That was the answer I got that was so important to me when I went to that show was, you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. You're meeting the right people for you. You're meeting your tribe. Find your vibe, find your tribe. And you'll know, because it's not forced. And it's, you can feel the connection. You can be your truest self. You can be you. But yeah, you never know how things show up. But, I think sometimes if you're looking too hard, you'll miss them. If you take yourself out of the moment of being present, you'll miss them. You can listen without hearing, but you need to listen and be still enough so that you hear and that you know. But yeah, it works. It takes time. It's a process of shifting thoughts slowly, changing your words, changing how you talk to yourself, changing how you view what's possible, what's not possible. I started the podcast last July. And I hadn't been on TikTok that long. But I've had more happen in this realm than the last 3 years of applying for 300 jobs. And so you can see that in one 6-month period, things have kind of flowed and happened. Where the previous 3 years, I might as well have been running into a brick wall. If it doesn't flow, let it go. Don't waste your time on it. But be careful, because, sometimes it's just your approach. Sometimes you just need to approach something different. Give it a little extra a little extra effort. Let's say it that way. Take those inventories, those mental inventories, those moral inventories, feelings. Try to make sure everything aligns. Get in tune with yourself. Don't live in your past. Try not to hold on to negative things too long. Does you no good. If you're holding on to one thing, then you don't have a free hand for the next thing. You don't have a free hand to hold on to the next thing that comes into your life that might be bigger and better. So, anytime you feel some negativity, acknowledge it. Figure out what about it bothers you and work on that. But then let go and move on. Serves no purpose to live in your past. The only purpose it serves is to look back at a starting point so you can see how far you've come, how far you've evolved, how many hard days you've managed to get through. And if you're alive today, you've managed to live through every hardest thing that life has thrown at you. You've made it through all your toughest days. So you can make it through the rest of them. But you got to prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. And find your tribe. Find that community who can encourage you and lift you up when you don't have the strength to do it yourself. That's what they're there for. Remember, I said last episode, the little secret is there are so many people who dedicate their lives to helping others. Don't take away their purpose by not asking for help, by not letting them help you. So, don't live in your past. Keep your mind garden clean. Pluck those weeds. Keep in the positive thoughts. Don't be afraid to put what you want out into the world. You never know what's going to happen. You never know how it's going to show up. So don't focus so much on the how. You just focus on what you want. And work towards it. Because make no mistake, yes, you could tell. But once I hit the consistency episode in my series, I've been consistent every week. So, still got to show up and do the work. But we're going to end this on, I hope you guys have a great Thursday. And please, please go check out Podcast Connection Network landing page. I'm not on there yet, but will be soon. But more importantly, go check out the podcast. Hunter Allen's Everything is Connected. Amber McCrae's Connection Over Perfection. Heather Harrington's Hot Mess Espresso. Go give them a listen. Rate, like, review, subscribe, share it with 5 people. You can find each of us probably on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook. Heather's got a YouTube. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout. And if you're not on TikTok, maybe get on TikTok. You might catch one of them live. I don't have enough followers to go live, so if you want to come over and follow, maybe I'll be live someday. But yeah, go do that. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And don't forget to go check out all the podcasts in the Podcast Connection Network. And we'll see you next week. Peace.